Welcome back, everyone, to Worlds Beyond with Cam and Ron and Jen today.
Hey.
Hey, welcome back, Jen, and welcome back, everybody, to Worlds Beyond. Before we dive in, if you do enjoy our content, we'd love for you to give us a like and a follow on our Twitter page, which is @WorldsB_podcast, and or a like and subscribe wherever you listen to our podcast. It means the world to us. Thanks so much for tuning in.
So today we are kicking off spooky season. We have already sort of kicked off spooky season.
I kicked it off like a month ago.
We kicked it off months ago in the movie theater when we saw The Boogeyman.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's real.
That was really.
I kicked it off as soon as I was born.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was very, very preliminary. Officially, and in terms of covering stuff on the cast, we are kicking off spooky season here with A Haunting in Venice, the latest Hercule Poirot Agatha Christie adaptation by Kenneth Branagh. We all got a chance to see that this week, and it was a very, I would say, welcome and worthy film for this. I'll start. I would just say overall, I've loved all the Hercule Poirot movies Kenneth Branagh has done. They've all been great adaptations, great updates to those stories. He plays a great Poirot. They always have an cool all-star cast, and some surprising folks that show up. No, this one no different. And overall, it was just a great, fun, creepy, scary mystery. Nothing, not earth-shattering. Not like you're not going to be like, oh my god, but like, and just as usual with Branagh movies, just incredible production value and all of that stuff, which I know, Cam, you can probably talk a little bit more about than me. But that's my overall reaction. Jen, how about you?
Same as Ron. I loved it. Of all of the movies, I think this one's my favorite. I think it's better than Death on the Nile, and I liked it better than the Murder on the Orient Express, to be honest. I love the setting. Venice was gorgeous and just the right amount of creepy, not overdone, some great scares, but nothing over the top. I just thought it was very well done. Really liked it.
I pretty much agree with everything you guys said. I loved it. Going into it, I was a little bit skeptical. I kind of figured the mystery part would be good because I actually haven't seen either of the previous Hercule Poirot movies.
Yeah,
I've seen bits and pieces of them, but not all in full. So going into it, I kind of figured the mystery aspect would be good, but I was a little bit skeptical about the horror aspect. I wasn't sure. Not that I didn't think Kenneth Branagh could do it, although Frankenstein might say otherwise. Although I actually like that movie. But yeah, no, the atmosphere was great, very spooky. The obviously the production design and cinematography was typical Branagh, very extravagant, but he managed to put a good amount of scares and creepy atmosphere and twist it up with cool mystery, and it kind of all tied together really well. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
It was great. I'll say too that I really liked how, and I kind of had a feeling they were going to do this. It was like, how long are they going to carry out the possibility of the supernatural before they kind of reveal? And I like how at different points along the way they seem to obviously potentially debunk Michelle Yeoh's character, and then brought it back. Just the way they constantly sort of burst the bubble around. Okay, no, it's not supernatural. There's just some stuff going on here. And then, oh no, well maybe it still is, and what Poirot went through too, his sort of journey that he went through. He was in semi-retirement and kind of just hanging around, and they had that very intentional scene at the beginning where he's blowing off all the people that are waiting at his door, trying to get help from them, and then of course, by the end he's like back in the saddle. So that was great. So that hopefully means we're going to get another one, and just the way he got pulled into it, I thought was great.
I agree. I thought they did a really great job with the back and forth between the supernatural and him being the voice of reason. Typically, you see his resolve almost waver throughout the movie as he's confronted with these, supernatural situations. But again, like Ron said, kind of coming to the end and finding out the whodunit was fantastic. One surprising cast choice, which actually worked out, which I was suspicious of when we first heard about it, was Tina Fey. I didn't really understand how her role was going to be or what her character was going to be like. It added a little bit of humor. I really thought she did a great job, and was really impressed with how she carried the story.
Yeah, definitely. There's always they always weave in some light, cheeky moments in these films, but she really gave it sort of a consistent kind of like tone in the way, and I thought their chemistry, just sort of her being like, you old dude, and kind of jabbing him throughout the film, and him occasionally giving it back to her, I thought that was really good. And I liked how that they made her character, she kind of became he usually has a sidekick, and I don't know the novels well enough to know. I know he's had a pretty regular sidekick that I think was in both of the first two adaptions, but he obviously wasn't there now because Hercules is retired. But she sort of, kind of played his sidekick throughout the film, and then actually turned out to be kind of one of the antagonists along the way of many.
Building off of that, I think I was a little bit skeptical of Tina Fey at first too, but she did a great job. But I think her kind of turning out to be, and I guess light spoilers, one of the kind of semi-antagonists was kind of made her casting a little bit more obvious, because she kind of has that back and forth she kind of does that style. So I thought that was good.
I also want to give props to Kelly Riley too.
Yeah.
I thought she was great. Very convincing in her character and her role too.
Oh, yeah. Javier Bardem was good as the sidekick there, or the bodyguard.
Oh, that was actually not Javier Bardem.
Who was that?
We just pulled up the
cast list.
casting. It's Ricardo Scarmaccio. I don't think...
I think I do know him. Yeah, now that I think about it, I've heard of him. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he does have that same kind of a look and style, but yeah, I'm not familiar with him outside of this film. I think, just covering the cast as well. Michelle Yeoh was good. I mean, everybody did a great job. I thought the kid was Jude Hill, that played Leopold, the son of the doctor.
Oh yeah, he was great.
He was really good, just playing that unusually precocious kid who was, and almost kind of he had the sort of role reversal with his very troubled father there. He was the dad, and as well, getting into spoilers, just how he figures into the plot and was complicit in the mystery and indirectly the murders was really well done.
Yeah, there were a lot of great little reveals. Like I kind of thought, and one I guess kind of minor negative I would say is I felt like it was a little bit long or a little bit slow in some parts, and which was surprising. I didn't realize it was only like an hour and 40 minutes. It felt a little bit longer than that. But I liked that there were so many different layers to the mystery. So and you kind of got reveals along the way. The early Michelle Yeoh being a fraud reveal, and then Tina Fey, and then finally the ultimate kind of resolution of the mystery. So it kind of I liked that there was a whole lot of different layers and kind of kept you guessing.
Yeah, something early on that happened. I can't remember what the catalyst was, but made me feel like, I think Michelle Yeoh is going to get it, and that's going to kind of kick off the madness. And sure enough, and I was wondering throughout, and so I kind of guessed that was going to happen, and they did give you a big sort of clue about 2/3 of the way through. The supernatural has mostly been debunked, but what explains Hercules, all the visions and things he was hearing and all that stuff. And so when it turns out that there was the poisoned honey or whatever it was, explaining that, even though he still saw that another final vision there.
Yeah, they kind of left it up in the air.
Speaking to what you were saying too, Cam, about the pace of the story and how it was kind of slow in spots, I felt the same way with the previous two movies as well. I felt like there was a lot of lagging in between, and although the scenery was amazing, I thought in both of them they did a fantastic job. I did feel the story kind of was slow in certain parts, and I got the same feeling, but I thought this one was better and tighter than the previous two that I saw personally. So you might have to go back and watch those.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they're on my list. I've been meaning to watch them, but just haven't gotten around.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to say too, just as a general thing. I so love, and that's what's great about, and this isn't actually technically a horror film, but that's what's great about horror films among modern movies, among modern genre films, and that's what we like the most is these type of films. But especially these days, they all tend to be so long. And when they're Captain America Civil War or Winter Soldier or something like that, and they're just awesome, like incredible, just wall to wall, just thrilling, that's great. But especially more recently, there's a lot of these movies that are over 2 hours that are just, you feel it.
Yeah, a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, definitely.
Even like, I'll take Spider-Verse, which we loved, the latest Spider-Verse movie. I still felt it was a little long. And so that's one of the things I love about horror. Horror tends to be in that 90 minutes to, 110 minute time frame. And I love it. And this being a big budget sort of like mystery, not even specifically a horror movie, the fact that it came in, in 143 was great. And I thought this was, of the 3 Agatha Christie adaptations, I thought this was the tightest. I do feel like, I want this, I'm biased to picking this one as my favorite just because it's got the supernatural elements or potentially supernatural elements and just the Halloween atmosphere, so it makes me want to like it the best. I think it's, for me, probably a close tie with the first one. I would say, to your point, Jen, I really felt the second one, while I love it, I felt that one was the one that sort of like dragged the most in term, or just had the most sort of slow moments.
I agree with that. Kim, can you speak, as Ron mentioned earlier, to the production value? I'm just curious what you thought of how well put together it was, or the effects and everything.
Oh yeah, I really like the way Kenneth Branagh makes his movies. They're very they're a little over the top and like kind of melodramatic, but he loves those like tilted camera angles. They're called Dutch angles, where it's like it'll be kind of just on an axis, and it just looks very disorienting. And it's really apparent in the first Thor movie. He does it a lot, and here he was a little bit more restrained. But he also loves using really wide angle lenses, which makes people's face almost like you can see all of it, and it looks almost like bulbous. It's kind of a strange choice, but there's one shot in particular, like of the kid. It was like a really close-up shot of his face, and there was a fire in the background, and it looked very nice, but it just like it was such a wide angle lens, and he loves leaving a lot of space behind the characters and like dressing up the sets and everything else. So that was great. And I thought the effects were very well done. They were fairly understated, not anything super in your face. And yeah, just the scares I thought were very well done. There were a couple jump scares, and they weren't like telegraphed. It wasn't like one of those lull moments. And I like those kind of jump scares, so I thought that was great. And then there were a lot of cool, creepy moments, and yeah, all of the sets and like costumes and everything were very well done, I thought.
Yeah, and it's funny, there was a couple of very good, well-placed, and I don't know, for the lack of a better word for it, like tasteful jump scares, because I was pleasantly surprised that he put them in there. You almost think a director like Branagh would be like, I'm not gonna do
right.
typical Hollywood horror movie jump scares, but it was actually good that he put them in because it gave it more of that sort of horror movie feel. So
and they were very unanticipated. Yeah. Like you said, you were not expecting them when they did happen, which was good. It wasn't a moment where you thought something would happen when it did.
I think one was he even got interrupted, like he was just in the middle of some talking and then it just happened. I thought that was good.
I loved the gondola boats too, coming through the canals, and how that was the means for the children to come to the Halloween party. I thought that part was really great. And the palazzo, wow, that was absolutely, that scenery
awesome.
Was gorgeous. They did such a nice job. That building was crumbling and very scary looking, and just a perfect horror movie setting.
I love the spiral staircase.
And even the bedroom where they did the seance at the beginning.
And the seance itself, it was, all of the, those little spinny, the fact that she was spinning in her chair, and and then all of those little like clocks or little knickknacks or whatever they were that were moving that he would zero in on with the camera. That stuff was all very cool.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with the horror elements. I thought it very well could have just been a more creepy mystery, but it felt maybe like 50%, 60% a horror movie. Mm-hmm. Maybe not that much, but like it was there, which I was happy about.
And I think it was a great kickoff to our spooky season.
It definitely was.
Absolutely, yeah. This was I actually wasn't sure if it was going to be directly Halloween related either. It could have, they could have said it at any time, but I like that it was. Well, I guess the story it's based on is Halloween, I suppose, but I wasn't expecting it to be so directly Halloween related.
Yeah, it's funny. It's based on an actually kind of obscure Agatha Christie later novel. Like, I think she died in, I don't know when, like the early 70s, and this was one of her last books, and I guess it got panned when it came out by critics, and then but since it's been.
I think we should read it.
Yeah, I know.
Have you read it, Cam?
I have not. No, I think I remember seeing somewhere online that it's fairly different, but I can't. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think it is very different, but it's fun. It's one of those typical like books and movies that at the time it comes out, people don't like it. Everyone hated. The critics panned Black Sabbath when they first put their first album out. And now they're the greatest metal band of all time.
Yeah, sometimes things that are different, but I feel like this worked. I thought it was great, and I do look forward to seeing a little more Hercule Poirot coming up.
Definitely. Cam, any last thoughts from you?
No, I just have to agree that it was a good Halloween spooky movie season kickoff, and hopefully there's more to come. I actually was planning on seeing The Nun right after, but it went a little bit later. I forgot that AMC trailers are like ludicrously long, and then you have to wait for Nicole Kidman to do her thing. So by the time the movie started, it was too late to see The Nun.
Is that still out?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think it's doing pretty well, so it'll probably be in the theater for at least another week or two.
Oh, cool.
We'll have to go try to see that one.
Yeah, we have
too.
to try to see that one.
We saw the first one.
We
2
watched.
weeks ago.
Yeah, so we've got a little time. A couple of things. So what have we seen so far for offline spooky season that we can touch on? We did watch the first Nun movie, and we talked about it with you a little bit, Cam. I thought it was great. I love Taissa Farmiga. She was in that Final Girls movie. That's the first movie I saw her in, and it doesn't seem like she does a whole lot of work, or I think she's in some streaming shows that I probably just don't watch. But she was great in that, and she was great in this. The plot was kind of almost like one of those early 80s horror movies in terms of being one of those sort of like semi-surreal ones where it's like you don't know what the hell's going on, and all this crazy kind of weird, almost non sequitur stuff happens. But I thought overall it was pretty good.
I thought the resolution to the spookiness at the end, I don't know how much to say.
Yeah.
But the ending I thought was really good, and I think I figured out what was about to happen the second before it happened and not any sooner, how they were going to like vanquish the demon, so to speak. I thought that was great, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this gets resurrected into the second one.
Totally. We watched The Watcher in the Woods. That's one of those old Disney films when Disney in the late 70s, early 80s tried to do a little bit more grown up, like YA type stuff. This was their first film, and it was actually pretty good. Although that one, I would recommend it. It's not a movie. It's like that's what we said after we watched it. Probably never would need to watch it again, but it was definitely worth watching once. But I would suggest if you watch The Watcher in the Woods, find the alternate ending. There's a couple of alternate endings. There's one, I forget what it's called, but you can probably see all three of them, and you'll probably easily be able to pick out which one is the best, because it's clearly the best. But there's one that's a little bit more kind of special effects, creature featurey, and it works much better for the story. But they ultimately, I guess it was a lot of, they changed the director. There was a lot of problems with the film, and they sort of released it and then took it out and re-released it with a lot tamer ending. And
I guess the immediate audience reaction was it was too scary. The ending was too dark or too scary or too supernatural, I guess, for the movie, so they changed it and brought the cast back to refilm. And I'm pretty sure we saw the one that was the refilm, right? The actual released version,
right?
That came out after,
right? And then we went back on YouTube and watched the previous,
the better one,
the better one, yeah. So, we did see Boogeyman. I thought that was great. What else have we watched?
Yeah, Boogeyman was a good, more modern, scary movie.
Yeah.
They didn't reveal too much about the Boogeyman, which was good. You got a little taste of the history and the scariness of it without them revealing too much and showing too much of the monster, which I think is one of Ron and I, like, our biggest complaint with
Yes.
horror movies is once you meet, like, the big bad, it's not scary anymore after the following scenes if they introduce it too early or let you see too much of it. So I thought they did a really good job with, like, kind of hiding the boogeyman until more towards the end you really get a look at it.
Oh, we also, Cam, we need to talk about this. We all saw Cobweb. You liked it.
I loved it,
I thought it was preposterous, and I think Jen.
Oh yeah, I mean it was preposterous. I don't think I think that was kind of the point.
I like the cast. I love what's her name from
Janice from
Mean Girls.
Oh yeah.
She's great. So the cast was, and the kids were good, really good too. I just thought it was just really kind of unbelievable, but it did have some good scary moments in the finale. I will say that. So I didn't like hate it, but I was just like, what?
It seemed like a mashup of every horror movie trope, basically, and they just like threw it at a wall to see what was going to stick, and they included all of it in. So it was kind of confusing why it was called Cobweb, but then it was, the creature is something else, and the scariness is something else, and it was just, I kind of felt like it was all over the place. I didn't feel like it was like very well, like the plot wasn't very well put together.
Pope's Exorcist, Cam, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I thought that was kind of silly. It was fun to watch Russell Crowe kind of just chew the scenery, but the scares weren't all that interesting. The kind of possession scenes weren't anything particularly special, and in the end, that was preposterous, if not just because they couldn't pull off what they were trying to go for in CGI, and it just looked stupid.
I thought Russell Crowe did a fantastic job as the actor in it. I thought that he was, I don't know, like I just thought he did a really, I don't know, just a great tough guy kind of thing.
Yes.
Like he walked into the situation very arrogant and very quickly was put in his place, and I thought that was a little humbling. Even though it's not his actual, persona, just having his character have that, it was like Russell Crowe kind of got a shot too. I felt like. Yeah,
and just what he did a lot of comic kind of. He was kind of like he did a lot of little comedy and little humor bits too. I thought it almost reminded me of the Tom Cruise Mummy, which he was in also, in that it was because it totally had the big studio set up for a possible franchise at the end of him going around with that other priest and becoming the sort of ghost hunters or whatever. But I'm not a big, I don't dislike Russell Crowe. I've never really followed him, but you saw how good of an actor he was with just kind of how bare bones this movie was. So it was entertaining. And then one other film we should touch on is Last Voyage of the Demeter, and we won't give too much away, Jen. We were actually going to do a cast on this, but Jen wasn't able to see it, so we didn't get around to it. But Cam, thoughts on Last Voyage of the Demeter?
That was great. I thought it was a good kind of just basic creature feature, but interesting take on Dracula. And I really liked the ending. It almost was setting up some sort of sequel, but I think it did really, really terrible at the box office, so I don't think we'll ever see that.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of mixed reaction I've seen to the film, too. Obviously, critics didn't like it, and it didn't do well, but I think the audience score was pretty good, if I recall. I thought it was, again, another, kind of reminding me, not exactly the same style, but a very, it was done by Amblin Entertainment, I think, was part of it.
Oh, yeah, right.
Really well-produced, well-put-together movie with a very solid cast. We got Davos Seaworth from Game of Thrones back as the captain of a ship. And I think the movie suffered from silly, stupid things in terms of, I think the title hurt it because I think the average, maybe, young demographic horror person is going to be like, huh? That doesn't even sound like a horror movie. And then you also, in order to understand what's going on, you have to have that big reveal of this is part of the Dracula story. It's, a certain section of the novel that is only, we only hear about off stage from the notes, from the log of the captain. And so this sort of fills in the blanks. From a horror aficionado standpoint, it was a really cool take. And the way that they played Dracula as a total creature in this film. So it's almost like you kind of know the end of the story just because, once you know what the story's about. So I think there's I think it had a lot of factors working against it, but I thought it was not super scary, but just super well done. I enjoyed it.
I felt the trailer because we were watching another movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Maybe it was Indiana
Yes,
Jones or something when we were in the theater.
That, yeah.
And the trailer, I felt like gave away the entire movie. I
Yes.
think
Yeah,
that's probably
definitely.
why I was a little reluctant
It
to
totally did,
have
but
gone to see it.
I think that's kind of it's sort of like once you know what the story is, you really kind of know what the story is. So it was all really in the execution, and I thought the execution overall, like I said, I thought it was really good. It wasn't the scariest movie I've ever seen. That was great.
I would definitely watch it. I think when it comes out to rent, I think I'll.
Yeah.
wait.
Oh no, you should. I would recommend it, and I'd be curious to see what you think when you watch it.
It might already be out to rent, to be honest, considering.
Yeah.
how
Well,
bad
it was out. It was out to rent. At the full. The $19.99.
Yeah, like
price.
to buy it or something for
Yeah,
15 or $16.
It's. But it might be. Yeah, it might be like truly rentable now or soon. And then one other one I'd like to touch on, and then Cam, if there's a couple that you want to hit on. The one I think it was our first official spooky season watch was. Oh, well, no. We also watched Sinister just last week.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
I
the-
love Sinister.
It was pretty good. It was the first time I had seen it. I think, Ron, you might want to speak to this a little more, but I mean, I thought it was very good and very scary up until the very end, and then I didn't feel like it was that scary when you find out, like the big finale. I didn't think it was that scary after all. But I thought up until that point, it was very good.
Yeah, no, I thought it was exactly. I pretty much feel the same way. I thought it was really good. I mean, a little bit unbelievable in that all that crazy stuff was happening where it was happening, and and not to give any spoilers away, the fact that he doesn't tell his wife what he doesn't tell his wife, and all of that he just stayed there.
Yeah, and put
in
his
that
family,
situation, to put his family
in danger.
Yeah, and then I thought the finale, like the climax, was a little bit lackluster, but overall that was good. And then I think the only other one for us, that I think that we sort of started off the official spooky season with, was Night of the Demon, 1957
maybe?
or 8 or 9. It's a retelling of the M.R. James ghost story, Casting the Runes, which is a great old story if anybody is interested in reading that. But thought they did an amazing job. But Jen, to your point, as far as the beginning of the film, where you see the demon right away.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they have to give away so much all the time. It doesn't become as scary. Although I thought the acting was superb. I mean, the quality of the film was really good. Even the plot and the way it kind of moved along and stuff, I thought was excellent. Background story for that was great. I mean, honestly, a lot of the older horror movies are my favorites. The ones that we've been watching from like the 50s and 60s. Even some of them, like a throwback to The Fog that we saw from like 1980 or whatever it was. Like, so well done. Like, they really put a lot into it. And I'd like to see more modern horror movies take a nod from those previous ones and work a little harder on, I think, being a little more scary and a little cooler, I guess.
Yeah. How about you, Cam? Any ones you want to highlight before we wrap
Well,
up?
yeah, I may have even already mentioned it on the show, but Talk to Me. It should be rentable very soon. I'm really looking forward to rewatching it. That's probably one of the best horror movies I've seen in a while, and it's definitely probably my top of the year.
Yeah, I think we were trying to go to see that, and we just missed it. So, yeah, I can't wait till that's rentable. Really looking forward to that.
My son Jonathan said it was great. He said
Oh,
it was
did-
really scary.
that's right,
He
he
liked
did
it.
say that,
He recommended it actually when he heard that we were doing all these movie reviews of spooky movies and stuff. He's like, "Oh, you got to see Talk to Me. It was really good." So yeah, we're looking forward to doing that one. Maybe next podcast if we can get a copy.
Excellent. We'll definitely cover that. And there's a whole lot going on. Ahsoka is just about to wrap up.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got that. Loki starts in a week or two.
Oh yeah.
And then Marvels is on the horizon. So a ton of stuff coming up. But definitely we're going to do a few more targeted sort of spooky season stuff to make the most of Halloween, our favorite season. And so I think that's a wrap. And as we wrap up, as Campbell mentioned at the beginning of our episode. If you enjoyed it, please do give us a like and a follow on our Twitter, or whatever they're calling it these days, page,
X.
@worldsbeyond_podcast. And please give us a like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. It does mean the world to us. And thanks again for listening. And also, I will give my every episode plug for Watch Lockwood & Co. on Netflix. Help us get a season 2. Read the books. They're awesome. And with that, we will say sayonara.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.
See you on the next one, guys.